Hello and welcome to round 2 of GP Everrime. I'm in a little bit of a rush, so I'm going to start the game right away here. We are facing Itai on the play, which is actually huge in this matchup, who is on blue-black flash. Well, this is going to be a mulligan, because I have no lands in this hand. This is a control matchup. I am not super well set up for the control matchup. I am probably going to keep this hand, even though it does not have a 2-drop, which is, I mean, it has Venture Capitalist, but I don't want a Venture Capitalist on turn 2 in this matchup. Um, but I'm going to keep it rather than going to 5. Opponent also keeps 6. And I would like to draw a land, so I'm going to just run out the Gilded Court here. Yeah, Itai is fresh off of beating Silver in round 1, and Silver is on. Oh my god, did they not? Oh, I thought they'd already put the card back. Mea culpa doesn't really matter that much, but yeah, so they're on 100% of their deck is an instant or has flash, so they're not going to ever do anything on their own turn. Make this a mountain. Draw a mountain. That's annoying. It's actually quite annoying. I guess I'm just going to I'm using Venture Capitalist. I don't want to cast. So the reason Beacon Play is important is if I could run on a turn 2 Exorcist, that would be huge against them, but I can't. Which is annoying. So this is going to be Primal Fissure for Swamp, make this Mountain Island. Then try for Program Pursuer on the following turn. Yeah, Venture Capitalist. It has some important jobs to do in this matchup, meaning that I really do not want to run it out on turn 2. Running a Primal Fissure here in case I top deck another Primal Fissure so I can have a turn 3 play. Island, going to be Island Pass. Yep. Mountain Island. And at this point, I would not love to draw. I would still like to draw Swamp. Hitting land drops very important in a control matchup, which is what this is. So I'm not cracking the Primal Fissure. Another Venture Capitalist. And they almost certainly have a counterspell there. They could have Destructive Ambition or Overrule Sought, 3 of those. I guess that's their only 2 mana counters, right? Okay, so with only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on a mull to 6, there's a chance they don't have it. And Program Pursuer is a great thing to land. So let's hope that works. Grab a Swamp here. But more than likely this gets countered. I just have to hope it's not Unravel Salt and Mill a bunch of things, which will accelerate them significantly. Run up Program Pursuer. Both of our graveyards are quite relevant in this matchup. Let's get those out as well. And, oh, Seafloor Treasure. I do get to resolve Program Pursuer, which is very, very nice. They're not going to be able to get a blocker for this next turn. Yeah, basically no matter what. And if their sources of card advantage are not huge, like they got Seafloor Treasures, they got Discern, they got expensive stuff. So if I can keep the train going with stuff like Program Pursuer, they don't have a lot of removal in their deck. They got Outfield, and they got the bounce spell that upgrades into a into a top or bottom. So this could be Unravel Sought or Avert Disaster. The chance that they have a counterspell up has increased significantly. Drawing an Erosive Path here. Well, I'm going to start things off with a good old attack. If they have a removal spell, they have the bounce spell. Or Sovereign, they probably cast it here. Yep. And here, the fact that this is a tap land is really going to cost me. Because if it was an untapped land, I would be able to play Envoy the Fallen and immediately put the Program Fever back into play, which would be a huge advantage here. So actually, I have 2 options here. I can pass, or I can Venture Capitalist for an artifact, which would have to be... I can get Stella's Journal X equals 1, Stella's Journal X equals 1 is quite a strong card in this matchup. I'd love X equals 2 if I could get it, but I might have to settle for X equals 1 on this turn where I can get it into play pretty much guaranteed. I might also consider Venture Capitalist for just Warpway rings. That's actually tough. I think it's either Venture Capitalist for Warpway rings or Venture Capitalist for Stella's Journal X equals 1. Hmm. I guess the question is, do I think I'll be able to Venture Capitalist get Stella's Journal X equals 2 later in the game? I think the chances that I'm able to do that are quite low. X equals 1 Stella's Journal is not going to do anything for a long time, but they're tapped out now, which is an opportunity I really shouldn't pass up. X equals 1 Stella's Journal means I have to empty my hand completely, but that looks like a thing I am at least capable of trying. Next turn I'll have Envoy as a must-answer threat, and I can follow things up with substitutes if I'm ever able to stick a creature. I think it's Stella's Journal here. I'd love the X equals 2 version, but I think X equals 1 is pretty reasonable, and getting a body on board is nice. Is that true? Warpway rings would not be an unwelcome thing to get here. It's just not very high impact. Oh, it's really tough. Just look at my library. I can't get Obelisk. I can't get Stella's Journal X equals 2 and 1 mana off that, because it would cost 2. I can get Warpway rings. How much? They do have a lot of counter magic in their deck. They haven't just displayed having a lot of it yet. It's one. It's 1/2. Oh, Rebor's Appetite could start being up next turn. That's a real problem. 5, 6, 8, 9. 10. Yeah, there's so much counter magic. I think this is. Oh, but also hitting my land drops is so nice. Now I'm gonna get Warpway rings. That could be wrong, but I think also hitting my land drops is equally important in a control matchup. Getting my 2-for-1. Stella's Journal is not going to do anything for at least 3 more turns, probably more than that. This looks like Rebor's Appetite. Yep. It's going to be for 3 here. Your library, get that island. And tap to make a swamp. Certainly got my mana set up. It's Ignited Soul. Okay. Now, Rebor's Appetite's a really annoying thing, but I can't just play nothing into it because I could also have. Oh, not wrong button. The Rabora Goliath itself, 8 discount by 3. Okay, they can't have Rabora Goliath this turn, but they could have the Appetite, and that seems quite likely if they're shocking in Enigmatic Fen. It's the only 4 mana spell in their deck. In the face of that, do I want to do something like Ignited Soul first, see if I bait out the counter, follow it up with substitute for substitute looking for Stella's Journal X equals 2? I think they'll counter the substitute, not the journal in that case. And it lets me get more stuff on board. Let's attack first. Oh, it'd have to be capitalist for. Yeah, I'm not gonna run an Envoy here. Okay, they're not gonna counter that. I'm gonna run out capitalist. I think I'm just gonna run out capitalist here. Which I assume they're gonna counter. Get their 3/3. Yep. So not ideal letting them get a 3/3 here, but certainly worse than getting my Envoy with a fallen counter. At least I have an Ignited Soul to show for it and a good card in hand. They're going to attack and pass the turn. Nope, they did not play a land there. That's crucial information. I drawn all that remains. Interesting. Probably going to discard that to this Ignited Soul if they let me hit with it. Swamp. I don't know if I want land number 5. Double spelling is really nice, but also having a density of threats is really nice. I think I'm going to cast this All That Remains and discard a Swamp. See if they have anything to say about that. They're sinking on a counterspell, which not surprising they have a counterspell given that they missed a land drop. And let me have that. Look at my top 3. Okay, wow, that's pretty bad. I really don't want more Ignited Souls, so I think I'm just going to take a land here. And bin these. And if something's going to get countered, I'd rather it be the substitute here. So I'm just going to run that out. Substitute is dangerous because it can copy capitalist, get. Okay, Blind Keela is going to come in, make me lose 1 life. I'm actually not sure if I want to keep this, if I want to even play this Primal Fissure, if they're countering Substitute. It's possible they're out of counterspells here. They don't always have it. You have to, at some point in this kind of matchup, you have to believe sometimes they don't have it. Oh, that's annoying. That means I have nothing good to copy of Substitute. Yeah, that's true. Okay, but I think they'd rather counter it than do this. Maybe not. Put this on top of the library. Okay, 2 Ignited Souls, not nothing. And do I want to run out the Primal Fissure? Lets me play Envoy the Fawns through a counterspell next turn. Obviously, good to have fodder in hand with Ignited Soul on the battlefield, but this also works. Okay, they've got They drew a land for turn. They got 3 cards in hand. I would like to draw the venture capitalist because I know it's a dangerous threat. I think I am going to run it out because if they, yeah, I can play 2 very dangerous threats here, capitalist and envoy. So this might be the turn I overwhelm their counter magic. Yeah. Oh my god, this is huge. Absolutely huge play here. Because they're tapped out. This is why hitting your land drops are so important in a control matchup. I can Envoy the Fallen for Venture Capitalist. Oh, but I can't Stella's Journal X equals 2. I can Stella's Journal X equals 1. That's probably good enough. Crack this. Go grab, let's say, Swamp. They have no 1 mana counter magic, so that means I finally get to force through last card in my hand, Envoy of the Fallen. Masterfully played control matchup, if I do say so myself. Gets Venture Capitalist, which finally Stella's Journal. Unfortunately, I do not have 6 unique lands. I only have 5, but that's still pretty good. Stella's Journal X equals 1. Attack with the 1/1 Ignited Soul. End turn, draw a card. Another Envoy. Now I am the one who is drawing 2 cards a turn because of Stella's Journal. So I'm going to be able to deploy multiple threats per turn, or at least 1 threat each turn, pretty consistently. They're going to out the old my Envoy. Do I want to sack anything in response? Not particularly. They're also doing that main phase, notably, so they're not getting a blind Keela trigger off of it. This looks like another Revert disaster to me. But I have Stella's Journal in play. I don't. Okay, I can't play both of those. That's annoying. I drew like a 4-drop and a 3-drop, so I kind of the only combination of cards where I couldn't play both. I might even be discarding one of these just because I want to play all my cards every turn. Let's start things off like this. Let's attack with some Ignited Souls. They're tapping up for a Goliath. That's completely fine by me. That killed my Ignited Soul, but it taps them out, so I can run out this Envoy. And I'm going to discard the substitute now. And now things are going to go really badly for them because I can tap out. I can tap down for a Envoy. I mean, if I drew a 2-drop, by the way, this got even worse for them. Get back substitute. Copy that. And at this point, I'm just going to get back Program Pursuer. That blocks the Rabura Goliath just fine. Unfortunately, I don't get to draw Stella's Journal, but like now I have this huge board, and I'm pretty close to Envoy lethal. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 face-up damage. Just sack my board to Envoys. And they're down to 2 cards in hand, only 5 lands in play. They can draw more cards, but it costs them 3 mana per. And if I keep pressing the advantage, they're not going to be able to do that. They're main phasing another card. Okay, sack it. Why are they casting spells in their main phase, by the way? Very little reason for them to do that. They're also dead to a substitute. Like, I just have combo if I cast substitute, so they have to be very afraid of that. They're leaving. They got one card in hand. Could be a counterspell. Do I cycle that? No, I cast it. I use Fabricate Anomaly to cycle it. Does this resolve? Make the puzzle box. Discard Murky Path. Draw a card. It's a swamp. I think I can attack with Programmed Pursuer and pitch to Fabricate Anomaly. Do I have any other good attacks? 2/4 substitutes not 2/4 substitutes not a good attack. Yeah, it's just Pursuer. Okay, what do you have to say about this? Okay, fine with that trade. They're down to one creature. This dies. Main 2, play a third swamp. Do I get to go to end step? You could theoretically use your last erasing distance on my Stella's Journal. I'm pretty close to swing out with everything being lethal between Anomaly and Envoy. They're sitting for one card in hand. They didn't spend that 2 mana on my turn. Tapping out once again, casting a spell on their turn. Seafloor Treasures, that looks like desperation to me. The main phase Seafloor Treasures. But, like, okay, if they don't have another Goliath, they block Envoy and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they're just dead. Even with 2 Goliaths. They block my 2 biggest creatures, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Envoy chucks 1, so they're I'm 1 off lethal if they have 2 Goliaths. Oh, Exorcist makes things so much easier. Let's hit him with one of those. Yep, Goliath. Last card in their hand is a Temple of Origins. Okay, I'll just do some quick math. Is this lethal? Like, they block Envoy, they block Anomaly. I can pump the other all my creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Envoy chucks 2. Yeah, that's lethal. That's lethal. They got nothing in hand. I need enough cards for 1, 2. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. I got plenty. Second Anomaly makes it even easier, but yeah, sorry. They block my 2 biggest creatures. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Envoy can chuck the 2 blocked creatures. Envoy can chuck Exorcist plus whatever other creature they blocked, and that's lethal. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exile 5, 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Add counter, and that's looks like lethal to me. Yep, that's GG. Oh, and post combat I can always just chuck the rest of my board. So yeah, super lethal. Nice, simple game 1 right there. Okay, so sideboard-wise, I don't want these Ignited Souls. I think my opponent can just ignore them. They're not high impact enough. Playing a turn 1 play against a control deck, super important. If I had, like this is, or I wish I had the Cyber Soul 1-drop on my sideboard that makes us both discard, that'd be great. Herald Awakening doesn't do anything. I definitely want Whitecliff Pilgrim. It's a hugely important card in this matchup. Absentia, really wish it was Duress, but Absentia will still be good in this matchup. Still lots of things for it to get, even on the draw. The question is, do I want any frags or fiends or crucibles in my deck? Looking at my opponents, they have Golden Luminous Silence. That's their piece of choice. That's certainly coming in. Failure's not good. Overload's not good. Out of the Old might come in. 3 Become 1 might come in. Chronicles might come in. I should certainly be prepared for Chronicle. And that was without an early Exorcist, which is kind of my best option here. Fiend is certainly strong, but it's a 5-drop, so the ability to land it is really difficult. You saw, I was able to land Envoy because it cost 4 and I was able to double spell into it. Frag can kill their golden blooms, which is a nice thing to have access to. It might be better than one of the substitutes. Substitutes they certainly like. It requires me to already land something, so I think I'll take out one substitute for a frag. Doesn't kill Goliath, which is annoying, but still may be useful. Fiend is the real interesting. I think I'll trim all the remains for one Fiend. I don't know if that's correct. Okay, but we're up a game and looking at a hand that I'm actually pretty happy with. I'm not going to be able to turn one Absentia. Well, I could. But this is a great step. Actually, this is interesting. I could turn one Absentia, turn to Whitecliff. No, I can't. My only blue source is tapped. So it's Kazakh District into Whitecliff into Venture. Opponent's mulliganing? Okay. This is a real nickel and dime 1-for-1 sort of matchup. So opponent mulliganing, hugely useful to me. Yeah, my sideboard is really tuned against the kind of things I was expecting to see, which did not include control decks like this. I would have loved to have more better tools for this, but took a game anyways. Here's an All That Remains. I'm beginning to feel like maybe I should have sided out more of these, but Kazakh District pass. Another Envoy. Okay, finding another land at some point would be nice. Clearly erosive path. I could run out a bait venture capitalist, but they can just let that resolve. It's not important. I think it's a Whitecliff Pilgrim angle here. Gotta put the test to them early and often. Could get countered. Yeah. Oh, that's the one I didn't want to see. Yeah. But having 2 drops they need to get rid of. Okay. 1 Goliath and 1 Keela down. Not upset about seeing that. Only 2 spells in graveyard. They only have 3 Goliaths. And that's the main way of ending the game in any kind of reasonable time frame. Shock and Enigmatic Fen. This is probably one of the 3 mana counters. Sanguine Palace is very nice to see here. This is Blind Keela. I get punished for passing, leaving up all that remains here. Yeah, okay, I can pass go for all that remains, but I feel like Absentia Interventure Capitalist into Stella's Journal X equals 1 is also a pretty reasonable play here. That I can follow 2 must counter threats in Envoy. All that remains Stella's Journal for 1 is not exactly a combo. It's much better with Stella's Journal X2. I think I want to keep up the aggression here. Start with an Absentia, see what I'm working with. Okay. So there's a Sovereign's Execution I don't really care about. There's an Out with the Old I also don't really care about. There's a Chronicle Extinction they can't currently cast, but I should have on my radar. And there's a Discern. So they actually didn't have any counter magic at all. Not that I had a yeah, they're out of counter magic. That's huge. There's a discern in their graveyard, but I should get the one in their hand first. Hit discern in hand, I think. Okay. And I think while the sun's shining, I should venture capitalist for Stella's Journal X equals 1. They don't have a clock on me, and they don't have counter magic that I know about. They're going to probably discern here. Yep, discern out of the graveyard. So they get to look at 2 more cards. But I have a game plan now. I can just kind of dump. I can just kind of dump my hand, go towards Stella's Journal, and they just have a lot of removal in their hand that I have good answers to. They drew one of their 2 draws for the land. They have these 3 cards plus an unknown. They did not want a Chronicle on their turn. Could they have Rebor's Goliath? Could they Rebor Goliath? No. They only have. It's actually only discounted by 1 right now, so they certainly couldn't cast it. Attack with Venture Capitalists. Their life total certainly matters with Shocking Enigmatic Fen. See what they have to say about Envoy of the Fallen. What they have to say is they drew another Discern, and they just got a straight top deck, a good card off the top, a counterspell off the top of their deck, or else it's going to get out of hand rather quickly. They're just going to let it. They have to let it resolve. Now I have a Whitecliff Pilgrim play. I have so many card draw engines going. And they're probably going to use a removal spell on my Envoy here. Yep, that gets exiled, and I lose 2 life. But now I have a Whitecliff Pilgrim in play. That can draw me a card off a lot of my threats. That's the outfield from their hand gone. They could Chronicle -2/-2, but then I just Envoy get it back. So that's not a. So that still works out in my favor. Execution, Extinction, 2 unknowns in hand. Could be lands. They haven't missed a land drop yet, and neither have I. Tapped Enigmatic Fen. Okay, what did that tell me? They did not draw a 3-mana card. If they had a 3-mana card in their hand, they did draw for Goliath, first of all, because Goliath costs 5 right now, so they would have untapped this if they had Goliath in hand. They also did not draw a 3-mana card, because otherwise they might have left up Sovereign's Execution plus plays 3-mana card. But they don't have one of those, clearly. Okay, this is slightly annoying. I'm going to start by attacking them for 4. They're going to take it. I'm going to alter means right now, because I don't think they're. Because, like, the last card in their hand, it's not a 3-mana counter, so it's quite likely to not be a counter at all. So I'm going to shock in this Sanguine Palace. My life total doesn't super matter. And cast in all that remains. Blind Keela is the last card out of their hand. Give that the K. So I know their whole hand. It's Execution, Extinction. They bin Avert Disaster, so future Avert Disasters cost 2. What I'm really looking for here is Exorcist. 3 lands? I didn't want to find 3 lands. Gonna grab Mountain, I guess. That's an unfortunate Series of hits here. Do I just flash that back right now? I think I do. No, I don't, because Chrono Function discard is a thing they could do. And if they Chrono Function discard, I want. Oh, I guess it's going to exile all that remains anyways. But I'd like to know about that. They could counter all that remains on the way back if they drew a counterspell. Whew. Okay, let me think about this. If they draw a counterspell, by all that remains, they can counter it. But it also means they have the information, so they know to Chronicle. I think at the pass angle here, they're going to execute my Pilgrim. Okay. That means I have something to get back with this Envoy. And now they get a blind draw off the top. They didn't know that top. They didn't know their top card. And it's execution plus the card they just drew. Execution, probably discard mode. Could be sack. It's discard. Okay. So I'm going to cast this All That Remains, discarding Sanguine Palace, looking for a good card to follow up with. I don't know the last card in their hand, but it's not a. But like I get to resolve whatever I want here. Look at my top three. I see Pilgrim. Let's certainly keep Pilgrim in these. And then what do I keep? Do I keep Pilgrim or Envoy here? So I'm going to get to draw Stella's Journal next turn, pretty assuredly. So Envoy doesn't do anything. I think I keep Pilgrim. Pilgrim's more threatening, especially if I follow it up with any kind of creature. Envoy with an empty graveyard doesn't do much. Yeah, it's like this. I really want to double spell next turn if I can. They're attacking me for 2, makes sense. Show me an Exorcist. Swamp. I don't want Swamp. Okay, Swamp. White Cliff, attack you for 2. Okay, I get Stella's Journal draw at least. For another land. Okay, I'm going to need to stop drawing lands at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And another 6 in exile. So that's 13 of my 24 lands drawn. Okay, a little bit more than average. They have 2 cards and 2 unknowns in hand. Rabor Goliath now cost 2. So yeah, this could be a real problem. Oh my god, that's like doubly bad. It's bad because I don't get to play anything this turn, but it's even worse because I don't get to draw off Stella's Journal either. Oh, what an awful draw. I could be attacking into a Goliath here, but okay, well, killing their Keela here is nice. I'm not out of this, but like those draws really made things much worse for me. Okay. Oof. Opponent goes up to 4 cards in hand to my 1. What they're looking for now is Rabora Goliaths to close out the game. Only 2 left in in those 43 cards. So decent if they don't have them. They're also working towards Chronicle Flashback, which costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're like 3 lands off of that. So that's not immediate concern. Golden Bloom. Okay. What is the name? Stella's Journal or Whitecliff? I got 2 card draw engines in play. Envoy doesn't need either. Okay. Definitely cracking this Primal Fissure. I would really like to not draw any more lands, especially not Island, which is what I'm getting here. I got some good draws in there. Capitalist. That certainly counts. Run out Capitalist, see what they have to say about that. They got a counter? Yep. That's about to be expected. I can run out Swamp. They can't have Goliath, so I get to hit them down to 6 here. I get my Stella's Journal draw. It's a Fiend. That's nice. Fiend. Okay, now they're down to 1 card in hand. Fiend is a very nice draw here. Suddenly glad I sided this in. They have 2 draws. So they have 2 cards in hand. They're looking for Goliaths. They're looking for just more answers, more card draw, especially. They'd love a Seafloor Treasures here. Another Chronicle. Oh, but it's sack mode, not discard mode. Another Primal Fissure. And they're empty-handed. And I get some amazing draws off the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can play both of them? Oh, okay. This looks like GG. They are not capable of taking game actions this turn. So I just get to resolve all of this. Draw off the Stella's Journal. It's an Envoy. Well, it doesn't do it. That's a form on a 3/3. I might even discard that to Puzzle Box. It doesn't do much right now. And they're in huge trouble now. They need to find a removal spell. First of all, just to not die to Fiend of the Crimson Pact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still 2 lands off of Chronicle. They cycle Murky Path. They're looking for Out of the Old. The bounce spell that puts it on top buys them a turn, although everything seems to get worse for them every turn. Seafloor Treasures? It's got to find Out of the Old with this right now. They've been at Temple of Origins, okay. Oh, and that is GG. There's 2 temples on top. That is nice, easy GG. Yeah. Okay, I was not prepared for the control matchup, but unfortunately, they were not able to stand up to Stella's Journal, MVP of these matches, Whitecliff Pilgrim. I never drew a call off Whitecliff Pilgrim, but it was a threatening 2-drop, which is what I needed. I never got to Exorcist something. That's the best card in this matchup, by the way, is Exorcist. If I had to turn to Exorcist in either of those games, it would have been enormous. But yeah, impressive performance. Even Absentia did important work, showing me the coast was clear. And we are clear in 2-0, but a lot of killers in this tournament, so by no means assured top cut yet. See you guys for round 3, and good night.